The alien marketplace was loud and cruel. Metal cages lined the dusty street, filled with creatures from 100 worlds. Neon lights flickered above, painting faces in blue and red. The air smelled like oil, blood, and fear. Traders shouted in strange tongues, calling for buyers. Some laughed, some screamed. None cared about mercy. A human soldier walked through the crowd, his eyes cold but his hands shaking slightly. His name was Ryan Holt, a former fighter from the Terran War. He wore a torn brown jacket over his uniform, trying not to be noticed. But humans were rare here, especially on the outer planet Drixa, where even breathing cost money. He wasn't here for profit. He wasn't here for power. He was here for one thing, a life he shouldn't care about. As he moved between cages, he saw strange shapes, thin reptilian workers, insect-like guards, and silver-skinned slaves. He stopped when he saw her. In the center cage sat a woman, not fully human, not fully alien. Her skin shimmered like silver light, soft and clean even in the dirt. Her eyes were glowing blue, bright like twin stars. She sat quietly, knees pulled to her chest, her wrists chained. She looked up at Ryan when he passed, and for a second, just a second, he forgot to breathe. The metal plate on her cage read, Zyrian female, former scientist, dangerous, property of the syndicate. Ryan froze. Zyrian. That name burned through his memory like acid. He remembered the war. The skies of Earth burning red. Zyrian ships raining plasma on cities. The screams of his squad, and yet, this woman looked nothing like the monsters he remembered. She was calm, quiet, broken, but proud. A fat alien with 3 arms and a snake-like mouth slithered toward Ryan. His voice was oily, almost smiling. Ah, a human. You come to buy, yes? This one is special. Pure Zyrian blood. Her kind almost extinct. Ryan's jaw tightened. What did she do? The trader hissed. She was a scientist. Helped build their war machines. When war ended, her own people sold her. I bought her fair. For 5,000 credits, Ryan stared at her again. She didn't move. Didn't speak. Only her eyes watched him, cold, tired, maybe even ready to die. The trader chuckled. You humans love saving things, yes? Pay me 10,000 and she's yours. Or wait for the next buyer. They want to take her apart. Ryan's fists clenched. He had no orders to be here. He was supposed to be gathering intel, not saving enemies. But something inside him twisted, something heavy in his chest. 10,000 credits was all he had. Enough to go home. Enough to start a new life. He looked at her again. The Zyrian woman whispered something through the cage bars. Her voice was soft, tired. Don't waste your money, human. I am already dead. Ryan stepped closer. Not yet. The trader laughed again. So do we have a deal, hero? The crowd around them grew curious. Other buyers watched. A few muttered, human fool. Ryan reached into his pocket. His hand trembled as he handed over a chip. 10,000. Release her. The trader's eyes glowed with greed. Pleasure doing business. He pressed a button. The cage opened with a sharp hiss. The alien woman didn't move at first. When Ryan reached out his hand, she flinched away, staring at him with suspicion. I'm not your enemy, he said quietly. She didn't answer. Come on, he whispered. Before I change my mind. She stood slowly, chains dragging on the floor. Her legs shook as she stepped out. The marketplace went silent for a moment. Everyone watched as a human soldier led a Zyrian out like some kind of mad dream. Ryan felt the stares burning his back. He walked fast, pulling her through the crowd, but before they reached the exit, a voice shouted from behind. Stop them! Gunfire cracked. Metal bullets hit the ground near his feet. The trader screamed, No one steals from the syndicate. Ryan pulled out his blaster, firing back. Red light filled the air. The crowd scattered. He grabbed the woman's hand. Run! They ran through narrow streets, their shadows flashing in neon light. Drones lifted off rooftops, chasing them. Alarms blared through the city. Ryan's heart pounded as he turned corner after corner. The woman's breath came fast. She could barely keep up. They reached a dead-end alley, just walls and garbage. Ryan cursed. Damn it. The drones appeared above them. 3 metal eyes glowing red. Ryan aimed his blaster and shot one out of the sky. Sparks rained down. Get behind me! He shouted. The woman stepped forward instead. Her eyes glowed bright blue. She raised her chained hands. A pulse of light burst out like thunder made of energy. The 2 remaining drones exploded, their pieces crashing to the ground. Ryan stared, stunned. Smoke rose around them. You, how did you? She looked at him coldly. You paid for me, human. Now protect me. Before he could answer, more footsteps echoed down the alley. Syndicate guards were coming. Dozens of them. Ryan grabbed her arm. This way. They climbed a service ladder up to the roof. The city stretched before them, endless lights and chaos. Ryan's ship was parked 3 blocks away. If they could reach it, maybe they had a chance. But the woman stopped suddenly. You shouldn't have done this, she said, her voice low. Ryan turned. What? She looked at him, blue eyes shimmering in the dark. You can't save me. You just bought your own death. Blaster fire cut through the night again. Ryan didn't reply. He only grabbed her hand tighter and ran toward the shipyard. As explosions echoed behind them, the human and the alien disappeared into the smoke. 2 enemies now bound by fate, running from a galaxy that wanted them both dead. The cold stars of space replaced the burning lights of Drixa as Ryan's small ship broke through the planet's clouds. Behind them, the city burned like a dying sun. Smoke twisted up into the night sky while syndicate ships chased them, their engines screaming. Inside the small cockpit, alarms beeped, sparks burst from the control panels, and the smell of smoke filled the air. Ryan gritted his teeth and slammed his hand on the console. Hold together, girl, he muttered to the ship. Just a little longer. The Xerian woman sat behind him, still wearing her broken chains. Her silver skin shimmered faintly under the red emergency lights. She didn't speak. She only watched him with cold, glowing eyes. When the ship finally jumped into hyperspace, the noise stopped. Silence filled the cabin. Ryan leaned back in his seat, breathing hard. You okay? He asked over his shoulder. She didn't answer. Her hands were tight around the armrest. Her eyes were still fixed on the stars streaking outside. You saved me back there, Ryan said. That energy blast. I've never seen anything like it. Still no answer, he sighed. You have a name? After a long pause, she said quietly. Sierra. All right, Sierra, he said. I'm Ryan Holt. You're safe now. She turned her head sharply. Safe? She repeated, her voice bitter. No one is safe when a human touches them. Ryan frowned. I just saved your life. You bought it, she said coldly. There's a difference. Her words hit him like a punch. He wanted to argue, but he couldn't. She was right. He had bought her like property. Even if his reason was to save her, to her it must have felt the same. He stood up and opened a small locker, pulling out a blanket and some water. You can rest in the back. You're free to go when we reach neutral space. She looked at the water bottle but didn't take it. Where will you drop me? Anywhere that won't kill you, he said. Then nowhere, she whispered. Ryan sat down across from her. The hum of the ship was the only sound between them. After a while, she asked softly, Why did you do it? Do what? Buy me. Her voice was quiet but sharp. Humans don't risk everything for Xyrians. Not after the war. Ryan looked away. Because you were going to die. I couldn't watch that. She stared at him like she was trying to read his soul. You killed my kind once. Now you pretend to save them? He looked down. Yeah, I killed a lot of your kind, too many. Maybe saving one balances something. She didn't respond. She wrapped the blanket around her shoulders and turned her face toward the window again. Hours passed. The stars flowed like rivers outside. Ryan checked the ship's radar. No one was following them. For now. He relaxed slightly, pulling a small silver pendant from his pocket. It was old, scratched, and worn. A photo was hidden inside. 2 humans smiling, a woman and a child, Sierra noticed. Who are they? My wife and daughter, he said softly. They died when your people bombed Earth. She looked away, her face unreadable. Then you should hate me. I did, Ryan said. Maybe I still do. But hate won't bring them back. For the first time, Sierra's expression changed. There was a small, almost invisible sadness in her eyes. I didn't make the bombs, she whispered. I made medicine. My people used my work for war. When I refused to continue, they sold me to the syndicate. Ryan blinked, shocked. They sold you? Your own people? She nodded slowly. They said a traitor deserves chains. Ryan sat back, speechless. The silence between them wasn't cold anymore. It was heavy with pain. 2 enemies, both betrayed by the worlds that made them. Suddenly, the radar beeped. Red lights flashed. Ryan's head snapped toward the screen. Damn it, bounty hunters. 3 ships were closing in fast. Sierra stood up, her eyes glowing again. How did they find us? Probably the syndicate tracker on you. he said. Hold on. The small ship shook as laser fire hit its hull. Ryan dove the ship down into a field of floating ice shards weaving between them. Blaster beams lit up the dark. Can't you blast them with your light thing again? Ryan shouted. Sierra gripped the wall. That power drains my life. I can't do it twice in one cycle. Then we'll do it the hard way. He spun the ship sharply, turning toward the nearest hunter. The humans. Hands moved fast, pressing buttons, firing plasma cannons. One enemy ship exploded, scattering blue fire through space. The second hunter came close. It locked on and fired. The blast hit their engine. Alarm screamed again. Ryan cursed. We're hit! Sierra placed her hands on the console, her eyes glowing. Let me try. What are you? The console lit up under her touch. The ship's power surged. Energy rippled through every wire. The engine restarted, roaring like thunder. Ryan's eyes widened. What did you just do? Sierra smiled faintly, weakly. Fixed it. Temporarily. Remind me to never doubt alien science again, Ryan said, pulling up the controls. They blasted the last hunter out of the sky and shot into the shadow of a nearby moon. When the danger passed, Ryan turned off the alarms. The ship was quiet again. Sierra sank to the floor, breathing heavily. My energy is gone, she murmured. I need to rest. Ryan crouched beside her. You saved us, she looked at him tiredly. You saved me first. For a brief moment their eyes met, human brown and Zyrian blue. Neither said another word. Ryan stood up, guiding her gently toward the small sleeping pod. She hesitated, then sat inside, curling up under the blanket. As she closed her eyes, she whispered something barely audible. Maybe you're not like the others, human. Ryan turned away, staring out the ship window at the stars. He didn't know where this strange journey was leading them. But deep down something had changed. The war was still inside both of them, but so was something new. Something he didn't understand yet. And far behind them, on the dark planet Drixa, a syndicate commander watched a screen showing their escape path. He smiled cruelly. Let them run, he said. We'll take them both alive. Especially her. The stars faded as Ryan's ship entered a dark region of space known only as the Veil, a place most pilots avoided. No maps worked here. No signals could escape. The stars looked sickly and twisted as if swallowed by smoke. Ryan's hands gripped the controls tightly. The small ship rattled as it pierced through clouds of strange cosmic dust. Electric arcs crawled along the hull. The radar blinked with static. Sierra sat in the co-pilot's seat, her silver skin dim under the red lights. She stared out the window in silence. Are you sure this is safe? She asked quietly. Ryan smirked tiredly. No, but safe's not an option anymore. She tilted her head. You humans always run toward danger. Ryan glanced at her. And your people? What do you run from? Her eyes lowered. Ourselves. The ship's engines groaned, then steadied. Ryan checked his scanner and pointed at a small glowing sphere in the distance. There, a moon without a name. No colonies, no signals. Perfect hiding place. They approached slowly. The surface was covered in silver dust and long, dark craters. The planet looked dead, forgotten. Ryan landed the ship near the edge of an old metal structure, an outpost half buried in the sand. As the engines cooled, silence returned. For a moment, it almost felt peaceful. When they stepped outside, the air was thin but breathable. The sky shimmered with slow-moving lights like waves made of glass. Sierra looked up, amazed. This world? It's beautiful, she whispered. Ryan knelt and touched the ground. Feels like no one's been here in centuries. They found a cracked doorway leading inside the outpost. Dust floated in the air like ghosts. The halls were empty, filled with rusted machines and broken lights. Sierra brushed her fingers along a wall covered with alien symbols. This station was Zirian, she said softly. Very old. Before the wars, Ryan raised an eyebrow. Your people were everywhere, huh? She smiled faintly. We once believed knowledge was peace. Then came power and peace died. They reached a small control room. Ryan started checking for power. We can stay here for a while, he said. Fix the ship, refuel, lay low until things calm down. Sierra nodded and helped him reconnect power cables. Her long fingers moved with skill. Soon, small lights blinked to life across the room. Ryan looked at her, impressed. You're good with tech. I built life support systems for starships, she said, before they turned me into a weapon. Her voice grew quiet on the last word. Ryan handed her a water pack. You're free now. No one's turning you into anything again. Sierra took it, drinking slowly. Freedom doesn't erase memory, Ryan Holt. He didn't answer. There was nothing to say. Hours passed. Ryan repaired broken panels while Sierra cleaned and organized the small living area. It felt almost normal. Two people trying to survive, not fugitives from two species that hated each other. That night, Ryan cooked a simple meal from ration packs. The smell of warm food filled the air. Sierra sat near the small fire, watching the flickering light. Ryan handed her a bowl. Tastes bad, but it's food. She took a bite, her nose wrinkling. Humans eat this by choice? He laughed. Only when we're broke. Sierra smiled softly, her first real smile. It was small, almost shy, but it made the cold metal room feel alive. Ryan stared for a second too long before looking away. You should get some rest. I'll keep watch. You think I can sleep after everything? She asked. You can try. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Sierra said quietly, When I was captured, I thought all humans were monsters. But you... She hesitated. You confuse me. Ryan smiled faintly. I confuse myself sometimes. She looked into the fire. Why didn't you leave me on Drixa? You could have walked away. He stared at the flames. Because I couldn't watch another person die because of a war that should have ended years ago. Sierra watched him silently, then whispered, Maybe you're the only human who still remembers what mercy is. Suddenly, a distant hum echoed through the building. The floor trembled slightly. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Did you feel that? Sierra stood up. Someone's here. They ran to the doorway. Outside, the silver dust was glowing faintly. A strange light moved across the sky like a search beam. Ryan grabbed his scanner. It's a drone. Terran model. They found us. Sierra clenched her fists. You said this place was hidden. It was. They must have traced the jump path. The drone descended, scanning the outpost with red lasers. Ryan aimed his blaster. Stay behind me, but Sierra stepped forward, her voice cold. You paid for me, remember? Then do it. Protect me. Ryan fired. The blaster bolt hit the drone, but it only staggered. More lights appeared in the sky. 3, 4, 5 drones dropping down like hunting birds. Ryan shouted, Inside! Now they rushed back into the station. Metal walls shook as explosions echoed outside. Ryan threw the power switch, cutting all lights. The room went dark. Maybe they'll think the place is dead, he whispered. The humming grew louder. Dust fell from the ceiling. Sierra's eyes glowed faintly blue in the dark. They won't stop, Ryan. They want me. He looked at her, breathing hard. Then they'll have to go through me first. For a few tense minutes, they waited. The noise faded. The drones moved on, searching elsewhere. Ryan finally exhaled, shoulders heavy. We're safe. For now. Sierra's voice was calm but soft. You risked your life again for me. He looked at her, half smiling. Yeah, guess I have a bad habit of doing that. She studied him for a moment. Humans are strange. Tell me something new, he said. But she didn't smile this time. Her voice grew distant. When you saved me, I thought you were foolish. Now I think you're dangerous, because you make me forget what I was taught to hate. Ryan froze, unsure what to say. Outside, the faint glow of the drones faded into the night sky. The two of them stood alone in the silence. 2 enemies, 2 survivors, bound by something neither could explain. And deep in the void above the planet, a dark ship drifted in orbit. Inside, a shadowed figure watched the outpost on a screen. Found you, the voice hissed. The human and the Xerian. Bring them to me alive. The wind howled softly across the barren moon, carrying silver dust over the old Xerian station. The night sky shimmered with strange lights and the stars moved as if alive. Deep inside the station, Ryan sat beside the flickering fire, staring at a small metal chip in his hand, his military ID. He turned it over again and again. The light from the flames danced across his tired eyes. It was the last piece of his old life. The one where he followed orders, fought enemies, and believed everything was simple. Humans good, aliens bad. But nothing felt simple anymore. Behind him, Sierra was repairing a broken transmitter panel. Sparks flickered as she worked, her glowing eyes calm and focused. Her silver skin reflected the firelight, giving her an almost ethereal glow. She looked like something sacred and untouchable. Still trying to fix that thing? Ryan asked quietly. Yes, Sierra replied without looking at him. If I can connect to the old Zirian relay, I might find a path away from this sector. Ryan frowned. That's risky. If you send a signal, the wrong people might find us. I know what I'm doing, she said firmly. I've lived in cages long enough. I won't hide forever. Ryan stood and walked over. I'm not saying you should, but we need to be careful. The law doesn't protect us anymore, not you, not me. Sierra turned to him slowly, her face unreadable. Humans made your laws. They don't protect my kind at all, Ryan sighed. Then maybe it's time we stop living by anyone's law. Her eyes softened a little. You speak like a man who's already lost his world. I did, he said simply. Hours passed in silence, except for the soft hum of machinery and the faint rumble of distant thunder. A storm was rising outside, the kind that could melt steel and turn air into lightning. Ryan watched as Sierra sat by the old control board, the blue light of the screens bathing her face. She looked tired but strong. You should rest, he said gently. You haven't slept in 2 days, she didn't look up. Zirians don't need as much rest as humans. Still, you look ready to collapse. She finally turned her head. Why do you care so much? Ryan hesitated, then said quietly, Because I can't stop. Her glowing eyes met his. There was no anger this time, no distance, just silence filled with unspoken words. Sierra looked away first. You're strange, Ryan Holt. A soldier who breaks rules, risks his life, and saves his enemy. Your own kind would call you traitor. He smiled faintly. Wouldn't be the first time. A loud crash interrupted them. A wall panel fell as the storm outside hit full force. The wind howled through the cracks, sending waves of silver dust inside. Ryan hurried to seal the doors. Sierra came beside him, pressing her hands against the metal. Blue light pulsed from her palms, melting the broken edges together until the gap sealed completely. Ryan stared, amazed. You could have used that earlier when we were running from drones. Her lips curved in a small smirk. You didn't ask nicely. He laughed softly, shaking his head. You're something else. I was made to be, she replied. But her smile faded as she whispered. I was designed to serve, to obey. Ryan turned to her, serious now. Not anymore. You're not property. Not anyone's. Her gaze lifted to meet his. Even yours? He froze. The question hung between them like a blade. No, he said after a moment. Not mine. You're free, Sierra. Something shifted in her expression. A mixture of relief and pain. Freedom, she whispered. It sounds beautiful and terrifying. That night, the storm outside glowed like lightning wrapped in fog. Ryan and Sierra sat near the fire, sharing the last of their food. Sierra leaned back, her eyes half closed. Do you ever think about what comes after this? Ryan looked at her. After what? Running, hiding, fighting. When it ends. He exhaled slowly. I try not to. Every time I think about the future, it feels like a place I don't belong. She nodded. I understand. Ryan looked into the fire. Before the war, I believed in rules. In duty, but now, I just want something real, something honest. Sierra's voice was quiet, almost a whisper. And if that something was forbidden? He met her gaze. Then I'd still want it. The air between them grew still. The light from the fire reflected in her eyes. Slowly, she reached out her hand and touched his. Just a brief, trembling touch. But it felt like a shock of energy running through them both. Ryan didn't pull away. For the first time, the distance between human and Zirian disappeared. But before another word could be spoken, a sharp sound filled the air. A beep, small but deadly. Ryan's eyes darted to the console. Someone just pinged our coordinates. Sierra stood instantly. The Syndicate? No, Ryan said grimly, checking the data. Worse, it's a Terran military signal. Her face paled. Your people. Ryan grabbed his blaster and rushed to the control screen. They must have tracked my ID chip. She looked at him, betrayed. You brought them here. I didn't know, he shouted. They shouldn't even have access to this sector. Outside, a distant rumble grew louder, the sound of ships entering atmosphere. The fire flickered. Dust shook loose from the ceiling. Sierra's eyes blazed bright blue. If they find me, they'll kill me. If they find you with me, they'll kill me too, Ryan finished. He turned toward her, voice hard now. You have two choices. Run or trust me one last time. Sierra stepped closer. And if I trust you? Ryan smiled faintly, though fear burned behind it. Then I'll break every law in the galaxy to keep you safe. Outside? The Terran ships descended through the storm, their lights flashing like angry stars. Sierra whispered, "Then we fight." Ryan nodded once. Together. The thunder outside roared as the first beam of light cut through the clouds, soldiers landing on the hidden planet, ready to take them both. And inside the small Zyrian station, a human and an alien stood side by side, no longer enemies, not yet lovers, but something far more dangerous. The first blast tore the sky open. Flames bloomed across the horizon as the Terran warships descended, their engines screaming like thunder. The storm above the hidden moon turned red from their exhaust. Ryan stood at the window of the old outpost watching death fall from the clouds. "They came fast," he muttered, his voice tight. Sierra stood beside him, her glowing eyes fixed on the ships. "You said they were your people," she whispered. "Then why do they look like executioners?" Ryan's jaw clenched. "Because to them I'm already dead." The station trembled as the first missile struck nearby. Dust rained from the ceiling. Ryan grabbed his gear and turned toward her. "Move, we have to get to the ship." Sierra followed, but her steps were uneven. Her breathing sounded strange. "Heavy, quick, Sierra," Ryan called. "You okay?" She paused halfway down the corridor, pressing a hand against the wall. "Something's wrong." Ryan rushed to her side. Her skin glowed brighter than usual, veins of soft blue light pulsing under her skin. "What's happening?" Her voice trembled. "It's my body. Something is changing inside me." Before he could answer, the ground shook violently again. Ryan wrapped an arm around her and pulled her into a maintenance tunnel, just as another blast tore through the main entrance. They stumbled into the narrow passage, smoke filling the air. Ryan coughed. "We can't stay here. The Terrans will search every inch." Sierra leaned against him, shaking. "You don't understand. It's not the Terrans. It's me." Ryan looked at her closely and froze. Her eyes were brighter than ever, her pupils widening like twin suns. Her skin pulsed with faint energy, and her hands trembled as if something inside her was fighting to escape. He grabbed her shoulders. "Sierra, talk to me." "What's happening?" She met his eyes. "I think I'm with child." Ryan blinked. "What?" Her voice broke. "I feel it inside. It's impossible, but it's true. A life. Half me, half you." The words hit him harder than any explosion. For a long second, neither moved. The war outside seemed to fade into silence. The sound of his heartbeat filled the space between them. "Sierra," he whispered. "That's not possible. Human and Zyrian. It has never happened," she said softly. "Until now." Ryan backed away, running a hand through his hair. "No, it's not real. It can't be." Sierra took a shaky step toward him. "You think I would lie about this?" He looked at her, really looked, and saw the fear in her face, the trembling in her hands, the tears that shimmered like liquid silver. "No," he said quietly. "You wouldn't." Another explosion tore through the tunnels, snapping him back to reality. "We'll figure this out later," he said. "Right now we survive." They reached the ship as fire spread across the plain. Ryan helped Sierra into the co-pilot seat, strapping her in. Her face was pale, her breath shallow. He powered up the engines, the ship rumbling under their feet. Through the cockpit glass, Terran drones were approaching fast. Red targeting beams swept over the ground. Ryan gritted his teeth. "They're not taking you, not now. Not ever." He pulled the ship into the air, dodging plasma shots that streaked past them. One beam grazed the left wing, sending sparks flying. "Ryan!" Sierra shouted. I know. He yelled back, jerking the controls. The ship dove into the storm clouds, lightning crackling around them. The Terran ships followed close behind, firing again and again. Sierra pressed her glowing hands against the console. "I can give you a boost," energy surged through the engines. "No," Ryan shouted. "You're already weak." Her voice shook, but her eyes were steady. "If we die here, the child dies too." Ryan froze. He looked at her, terrified, exhausted, determined. Then he nodded. "Do it." Sierra closed her eyes. Light spread from her body into the ship's wires, glowing through every panel. The engines roared like beasts. Ryan gripped the controls as the ship blasted forward, faster than the Terrans could track. The pursuing ships vanished into the storm behind them. When they finally broke free into open space, everything went silent. Ryan checked the radar. Clear. He leaned back, shaking, breathing hard. We made it, Sierra slumped in her seat, her glow fading. For now, he turned to her, his voice low. You shouldn't have done that. She smiled weakly. You keep saying that, human. He smiled back, but it was small and sad. You're impossible. Maybe that's why your kind fears mine, she whispered. Her eyes fluttered closed. Ryan reached out, brushing a strand of silver hair from her face. He felt the faint hum of energy under her skin. Life, fragile and real. A child. Their child. Something no one in the galaxy would believe. He whispered, You really are full of surprises, Sierra. Hours later, Ryan sat alone in the cockpit. The stars drifted past silently. He replayed her words in his mind, half me, half you. He thought about the laws of both species. If either side discovered this, they wouldn't see a miracle. They'd see a threat. He looked at Sierra sleeping in the medical pod, her hand resting gently over her stomach. For the first time since the war, Ryan felt something stronger than fear, hope. Then a sudden beep echoed through the console. A transmission request. Ryan hesitated before answering. The screen flickered, revealing the face of a man in a Terran uniform. His old commander, Admiral Corrin. Ryan Holt, the man said coldly. You are charged with treason, harboring an enemy of the state, and illegal genetic contamination. Surrender your ship. Ryan's blood ran cold. You tracked me again. Don't make this harder, soldier, Corrin said. Return the alien and face judgment. If the reports are true, if she's carrying a hybrid, the science division will want it alive. Ryan's grip tightened on the console. You mean her, not it. Corrin's voice darkened. You've already doomed yourself, Holt. Don't doom humanity too. The transmission cut. Ryan stared into the black void of space. His jaw set. He whispered to himself, Then I guess I'll just have to doom them first. He pushed the throttle forward. The ship jumped into hyperspace, streaking away into the unknown. A fugitive, a woman, and the unborn child that would change the galaxy forever. The stars stretched into silver ribbons as Ryan's ship tore through hyperspace. The hum of the engines filled the cabin, steady but tense, like a heartbeat trying not to break. Ryan's hands gripped the controls tightly. He hadn't slept in 2 days. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Admiral Corrin's face and heard the words again. If she's carrying a hybrid, bring it in alive. Alive, like they wanted to study her. Cut her open. Turn her into another weapon. Ryan turned and looked toward the medical pod at the back of the ship. Sierra lay inside, surrounded by a faint blue glow. Her breathing was calm now, though her skin still shimmered with faint light. She was resting, or pretending to. The child inside her had changed everything. What began as a rescue had become rebellion against two civilizations. Ryan whispered to himself, The galaxy won't forgive this. Hours later, Sierra stirred awake. The light in her skin pulsed softly, matching her heartbeat. She sat up slowly, eyes half open. How long was I out? Ryan glanced at her. 6 hours. I was starting to think you died on me. She smiled faintly. You would miss me? He chuckled. More than I should. Her eyes softened. You're a strange human, Ryan Holt. And you're a terrifying alien, he replied, grinning. She smiled, but the smile faded as she looked out the window. Her voice grew quiet. They will come again. The Terrans, maybe even my own kind. They'll see this child as a threat to both worlds. Ryan leaned back in his chair. Then we'll give them something to be afraid of. The calm didn't last. Hours later, the radar began to beep. 1 signal, then 2, then 20. Ryan's face went pale. They've found us. Sierra's eyes glowed brighter. How? They've locked onto our hyperspace trail. Damn it! He pulled the ship out of hyperspace, dropping them into a dark sector filled with shattered asteroids. The remains of an old battlefield. Thousands of metal fragments floated like frozen ghosts. Ryan steered hard, diving through the debris field. Massive chunks of destroyed ships drifted by, some still carrying the flags of the old Terran-Zerian War. Sierra stared out the window. This place, she whispered. My people died here. Ryan's jaw tightened. So did mine. A sudden explosion lit up the darkness behind them. A Terran destroyer emerging from hyperspace, followed by 2 more. Red light flooded the asteroid field. They're here, Ryan said grimly. Inside the Terran command ship, Admiral Corrin watched the radar. Target acquired, he said coldly. Engage. The destroyers opened fire. Blue plasma beams cut through the debris, turning space into chaos. Ryan's ship rocked violently. The hull screamed as it scraped against metal wreckage. Sierra clung to the seat. We can't fight them all. We won't, Ryan said, flipping switches. But we can make them regret chasing us. He dove toward the largest asteroid and an old Xerian warship hollowed out and broken. He guided his ship inside through a narrow gap. The Terrans followed, firing nonstop. Ryan pressed a button. Hang on. He released the ship's remaining mines. The moment the Terran ships entered the wreckage, the mines detonated. The explosion ripped through the asteroid, tearing it apart in a burst of blue fire. 2 Terran ships were destroyed instantly. The third was thrown off course, smoke pouring from its engines. Inside the small cockpit, Ryan and Sierra sat in silence, breathing hard. Sierra turned to him, eyes wide. You did it, he smiled weakly. I told you, humans are stubborn. But before they could celebrate, a voice crackled through the comms. Admiral Corrin again, his tone like ice. Impressive, Holt, you always were a survivor. But tell me, how long will that alien survive once her body rejects your child? Sierra froze. What did he say? Ryan slammed his fist against the console. He's lying. But Sierra's eyes filled with worry. No, he might be right. My species' body wasn't meant for human DNA. I can already feel the changes inside me. Ryan's chest tightened. Then we find help. A place to treat you. Where? She asked, voice breaking. There's no world that will take us. No doctor that won't turn us in. He hesitated. Then his eyes hardened. There's one. He set the coordinates. The ship jumped again, engines roaring as stars blurred into streaks of light. Sierra looked at him weakly. Where are we going? Ryan met her gaze. To the war's edge. To the one place both sides fear to enter. The neutral zone. Her expression turned to disbelief. That region is cursed. Dead worlds. Ghost signals. Exactly, Ryan said. Which makes it perfect for us. He leaned back, his eyes burning with resolve. You once told me I confuse you, remember? She smiled faintly. Always. Good, he said. Because confusing the galaxy is our only chance. Meanwhile, far behind them, Admiral Corrin stood on the bridge of his damaged flagship. A young officer approached nervously. Sir, should we pursue? Corrin's eyes narrowed. Yes, but not with force. Let him run. Let him believe he's free. He turned to the holoscreen showing a faint image of Sierra and Ryan. He's carrying something far more dangerous than rebellion. He's carrying evolution. Back on Ryan's ship, Sierra lay in the med pod, one hand resting over her stomach. Ryan, she whispered. Do you think this child will ever have a home? Ryan sat beside her, brushing his fingers gently across her silver hair. Maybe not on any world that exists now. Then where? She asked softly. He looked out into the endless sea of stars. Then we'll build one. Outside, the ship disappeared into the black. 2 fugitives and the unborn child that could end a war. Or begin something far greater. The sky was silver. The storm was gone. And for the first time in years, Ryan Holt woke up to silence. The small cabin was warm, filled with the scent of rain and alien flowers. Outside, the horizon shimmered with soft green light, the glow of a newborn sun over a forgotten planet. He sat up slowly, his old soldier's jacket hanging from a chair beside him. His blaster lay on a table, rusted and untouched. He hadn't needed it for months. Not here, not on Illyria, the hidden world beyond the neutral zone, where no empire dared to go, and no law could reach. Ryan smiled faintly as he heard a soft voice behind him. Morning? Human. Sierra stood in the doorway, her silver skin glowing faintly in the morning light. Her hair fell loose around her shoulders and her eyes, bright blue, calm, alive, met his with warmth. She carried a small child in her arms. The baby's skin shimmered softly, neither silver nor tan, but a blend of both. Its eyes were deep violet, not of any known species. When it laughed, its voice sounded like a song. Ryan reached out and took the child gently. She's getting heavier, he said with a smile. Sierra laughed softly. Half human, half Xerian, twice the trouble, He chuckled. Yeah, she gets that from me. They stood there for a moment, the three of them framed by the soft light of a world untouched by war. Months had passed since the escape, since Ryan defied the Terrans, destroyed the Syndicate ships and vanished into the uncharted edges of the galaxy. He'd spent every day building a life from the wreckage. A shelter, a garden, a promise. Sierra adapted faster than he expected. Her alien science rebuilt their damaged ship into a home powered by the planet's own energy. She taught him to grow food that glowed in the dark. And in return, he taught her old human songs. Broken. Simple things that made her laugh. But peace never came easy to soldiers. At night, Ryan still woke sweating from dreams, fire, screams, the echo of Admiral Koran's voice calling him a traitor. Each time, Sierra would sit beside him, her hand on his chest, her voice soft. You're safe now, she'd whisper. They can't find us here. He wanted to believe her. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Sierra stood by the window, humming an old Xerian melody. Ryan came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. Still awake? He asked. I can't sleep, she said. The stars are loud tonight, he smiled. That's just wind. No, she whispered. It's something else. She turned and looked at him, and for the first time Ryan saw fear in her eyes. I feel it, she said. Something searching. Not human. Not Xerian. Something older. Before he could answer, the lights flickered. A low hum filled the air. The baby stirred in the next room, letting out a small cry. Ryan ran to the windows and froze. Above the sky, hidden among the clouds, something enormous moved, a dark, silent shape, larger than any ship he'd ever seen. Its lights pulsed in a rhythm that made the ground tremble. Sierra whispered behind him, They found us. Ryan's jaw tightened. The Terrans? She shook her head slowly. No, someone else. The giant ship hovered for a moment and then faded away, disappearing like smoke in sunlight. The humming stopped. The planet fell silent again. Ryan exhaled, shoulders tense. Whatever that was, it didn't attack. Sierra looked out at the empty sky. Not yet. He placed a hand on her shoulder. If they come, we'll run again. She turned to him sharply. And keep running forever? Raising our daughter in the dark? He said nothing. Sierra's expression softened. You can't protect us from everything, Ryan Holt, he sighed. No, but I can try. She smiled gently, placing a hand on his cheek. You already did. You gave us a life and one no one else could. Ryan looked into her glowing eyes. A human and a Xerian, married, hiding, raising a child the galaxy will never understand. Sounds crazy when you say it out loud? Sierra laughed softly. Love always sounds crazy. He kissed her forehead. Then let's be crazy a little longer. Later that night, when the world had gone quiet again, Ryan sat outside with his daughter in his arms. She reached toward the stars, tiny fingers glowing faintly. He smiled. You'll see those one day. You'll fly among them, not as a Terran, not as a Xerian, but as something new. Sierra stepped out behind him, wrapping a blanket around his shoulders. You talk to her like she understands. She does, Ryan said, looking at the baby's violet eyes. She's listening. Sierra sat beside him, resting her head on his shoulder. The three of them stared up at the night sky together. For the first time, the stars didn't look like enemies. They looked like home. But peace in the galaxy never lasted. Far beyond Illyria, in the core worlds of both empires, word had begun to spread of a human soldier who defied orders, of a Xerian woman who vanished, and of a child who could bridge two races. Admiral Koran watched a recording of the faint signal they'd once received, a heartbeat that didn't match any known species. He smiled darkly. Find them. The war isn't over. It's just changing shape. Back on Illyria, Sierra placed the sleeping child into her cradle. She turned to Ryan, her voice soft. If they come again, she said, promise me one thing. Anything. Don't run this time. Ryan looked into her eyes and nodded slowly. Then we fight, she smiled. Together, they stood hand in hand beneath the twin moons. Two souls from different worlds, a soldier and a scientist, a human and a Xerian, now husband and wife. The child between them stirred in her sleep, a faint light glowing in her tiny hands, proof that love could defy biology, war, and every law of the stars. And in the endless silence of the galaxy, where hate had once ruled, a new life began, the quiet heartbeat of peace. The end.